Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to continue working on Army truck number 2, working on putting on the flatbed in the back, and more working on the front bumper and the winch mounts. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. To start the design process, I went on the internet and searched for Atlas 6x6s, and I found some pictures. I should like this illustration here. So then I took this picture and I pasted it into AutoCAD, and then I kind of, with the lines in AutoCAD, I kind of traced it out with the green pen. You can see the green outline here. Oh, another thing that you can see is that I edited the cab position. I raised it up a little, because originally when the beams were sitting on top of the flatbed, they went right across in front of the windows and blocked it. So if you remember right, when the beams are there, they go alongside the cab, and then the driver can drive through the window. I mean, he can crawl in through the window to get into the truck. Here's the back bed that we came up with. Using these same flat bars. Decided this is the tower that goes behind the cab, with the pulley up above the cab, and these crossbars would bolt to some of the original cross members that are on the dump bed that we have now. And this is so this is kind of the design. I'll probably just screw it together with these countersink screws, and then we'll put the wood on. I don't know what the wood's going to be yet. Here's all the bed bars cut. And one of the nice things about something with this small a scale is I can print out things on the printer that are the full size. So in this case, I can just use the drawing as a measurement and to overlay them to see if they're the right size. I think it's going to be good enough. While I was trying to decide how I was going to punch and mark the ends of these things for drilling, just good luck would have it that a while back when I was making a jig to drill the holes in some of these little house moving blocks, I made this little plastic thing on the 3D printer that these things would fit right in, that allowed me to drill the holes right here where I wanted it. And it just so happened that I could mount that thing in there, and then I could rotate the drill chuck just enough to get the hole in the right spot. So that really sped things up for drilling all these holes. Okay, there's the frame. It looks like it bolts together. We'll see if it fits on the truck. Looks like it does. Okay, to give you an idea of the scale of this, that would be like a 12-foot by 8-foot bed, according to the 20 scale. Right now, to me, it looks a little big because I'm used to the small bed. But I think once we get it put together and start using it, I think it's going to look right. Here's another shot just to kind of get some scale. I just kind of laid the beams on there. They're not actually, look like they hit the fenders a little bit. But that might be what a fully loaded Army truck will look like, with the beams strapped to the side, a couple dollies in the back. I think this bed is going to be just perfect, actually, once we get it done. I'm actually pretty happy with how this thing turned out. I can reuse a lot of the parts off this original bed. It had this kind of cross member on the front here that had a magnet. So when it closed, I got the tape around it that keeps the magnet from falling out. But when it closes, that magnet just kind of catches right there. And then it's got this piece here in the back, and I was able to just kind of hook the new bed right into that original pivot point. And so now when it goes up and down, if we secure or screw this cross member here to the bottom of this one, it'll act the same as it did. And then on the bed here, there's this front headache rack. You should be able to kind of get it to remount back on the front there like that. And then when we're done, it'll just fold right down like that. And so most of the parts, the hardware I should say, that uses it for hinging and holding it down like that, I think we can pre-use. Now the next step, not next step, but one of the things I need to do is I need to find a source for this kind of, maybe I can go to the hardware, I don't know. Anyway, I need to get a piece of wood big enough now to fill in this new size bed. I think that's going to work really well. And then I'll probably paint the aluminum flat black or dark brown, make it look rusty or who knows what, but we'll see how it goes. So here's the initial look. What we first decided to do was to put some kind of bumper, some kind of fake bumper on the front here, like we've seen in the previous video, with an A-frame kind of sticking up. So my first idea was to kind of bolt the A-frame to the outside of the frame rails and angle them up to the top, and then this cross brace, or this angle brace, this thing in red, would then bolt on it. And I didn't really like the way they had to twist it and bend it. So for the second iteration of this same thing, I went straight up with the A-frame, and then the angle brace had to be kind of a jog in it, where it would come out off the frame, it would jog out to here. Another thing I wanted to mention, the factory here, this picture here is the cab down in the factory position, and you can see where the pivot point is on the frame here. And the problem with this, if anybody who has ever had one of these things, is when you go to tip the cab up to get to the batteries, or to get the batteries and the motors and the wiring and stuff, it doesn't tip up far enough to get your fingers in there because the front bumper's in the way. So here's a picture of probably as far as the cab can tilt up in the factory position, and it's hard to reach in there and work on the things that are inside here. Now with this new design, the idea is that instead of just the cab tipping forward, we're going to tip the whole front bumper and A-frame all together as one unit. After considering various different design ideas, this is kind of what I came up with. These green rails represent the original truck frame. And if you're going to build this for real, you'd probably get some steel channel iron and weld it together, maybe about a 2x8 pieces. And since they don't really make channel iron in this scale, I found some flat bar, and this is what I got it on order, is some aluminum flat bar about 3/32 thick by about 3/8 wide. And for the most part, you can use pretty straight pieces. We're going to make these extension rails that would bolt alongside the truck frame, and then have some kind of angle brace that would come up and hold this thing secure. And then maybe the more difficult pieces would be these A-frame pieces. You'd have to make these bends, but since they're aluminum, I think I should be able to make these bends okay. We'll see how it goes. This one at the bottom is kind of a tight bend. And if you remember, this winch that we're building isn't really a winch. It's just kind of a fake looking thing. It's supposed to look real, but because the real winch was inside the cab where you can't see it, and this is just going to act like a roller. And I wanted it to kind of look like that the winch line was around it. It was a real winch. And I came up with this idea. We got these little roller bearing, or these little pulleys that I found on Amazon, about 10mm diameter. And I thought if we just bolt those together, and plus they would roll, and a couple fender washers on the end as caps, and if you just bolted that all together, I think it would be a fairly realistic looking winch. And in fact, even with the rollers or the pulleys kind of bolted together, it looks kind of a regular shaped, like the winch line is kind of bunched up there.
Another thing that I'm pretty happy about is I got these little pulleys, little teeny things. I got little ball bearings, ball bearings on them, and I got them on Amazon. Actually, they turned out to be like 60 cents each. How can somebody make something like this, probably in China, ship it all the way over here, and they get it for that? And then I got some fender washers, and what I was thinking is we could just stack these things all up on a bolt. Like that. And then the finished product looks like a winch. You can see what I was talking about. There's the irregular shape to those little pulleys, and it makes it look like there's a winch line wrapped around it. So now when we have a winch around it, winch line around it, it'll look like a real winch. And I don't have the front bumper made yet, but you can kind of visualize the winch on the front there. And I think it's gonna, and then the cable will come out from underneath, and it'll look like it's just feeding. So I think that's a win.
Similar to how a lot of real trucks are, I thought I could just split the bumper. Instead of making a regular roller fair lead, we could just split the bumper with a couple pieces like this and put a bar across here. And so then when the winch line is being used to go straight, like for regular winching, it would just come underneath this drum out through this opening, and it would kind of look like it's just coming off the winch drum again. Another thing that we had to factor in, if you remember right, the cab mounting bolts used to pivot down here off of the frame, which is now being covered up by these new rails. But we decided to raise the cab up a little bit, and so these blue brackets right here are the things that bolt inside the cab, and these is the pivot points here. And now that we raised it, it looks like we could probably bolt it right to these angle braces. And then in reality, now the cab is bolted to this piece, and then this piece becomes all kind of integral so that it's just all one piece. And my idea, I was thinking, remember the problem that we had that you couldn't tilt the cab forward and get to the stuff underneath. So what I was thinking, my idea here was to make this whole setup so it can be pivoted forward like that, and then the cab and the whole front bumper would pivot on those original front pivot points, and then that right back here in this orange pin, we'd have some kind of spring-loaded pin or removable thumb screw, something that's easily just pulled out, and then the whole thing can be kind of pivoted ahead.
Next, I want to start working on this front A-frame. I'll probably do the same thing I did before. Since this drawing is full scale, instead of measuring everything, I can just kind of hold these things up here and mark them. So we got this rail here that bolts alongside the truck rail. We have this angled bracket here. That's also going to be a straight one. And then the hardest one, and in fact, I might even work on that first, is we have this A-frame piece here that has a small jog right here at the bottom, a little straight, another bend, and another bend. So I think what I will do is I'll try to bend this piece first and then drill it. A lot of times I like to drill things first, but sometimes the bends cause things to end up not where you want. And I'll make it extra long so I can cut the ends off after I'm done getting it bent. I'm not sure make much difference, but I put a piece of tape over the bar prior to bending. I thought maybe it would keep it from getting scratched up too bad. And I'm thinking for the first bend, we can kind of just stick it in this clamp here. Make sure it's straight. And then maybe for the jog back, I'll stick it in there and I'll just bend it again, like here. I don't know, that might fit that little shape right there okay. Yeah, let's try that. Now for the second bend, I will kind of line that up a little bit. Gonna mark it here, right there. For the second bend, I had to change clamps. The other one, I couldn't fit this thing, and plus this one's a little bit stronger. So let's see what we can do to bend this one. I think that's going to work. Okay, now I just need to do the last bend at the top, and we got it. Just mark this one where the bend is, right there. Okay, now let's give this one a bend. Getting close. Okay, I think that those bends are going to be close enough. We got the general shape that they need to be. So now all I got to do is make one more just like that. Okay, here's the second piece. I got the first little jog made, and we'll just kind of mark where the next bend goes. Okay, here goes. look about right. That second bend looks about right. So let's just kind of line it up with that mirrored picture there. Mark the next bend on this one. That's looking pretty close. I'll line that up with the drawing. That looks like it looks pretty close. And then we got the other one on the other side like that. And I'm thinking that's going to be close enough. We'll get it drilled and maybe we can do some final little bends as to make everything fit. But I'm pretty happy with that. Now we get to mark this for drilling, and again I'm going to just use the printout on the piece of paper to mark my spots. And I think because of where the bend is and how big the bend is, I'm just going to shift those ones up just a little bit on the design, just so that the bolt head misses that bend. I think for an amateur worker that doesn't have very good techniques, I think that's pretty good. Now I just need to do the other one. At this point, I think it's probably better that they match each other instead of matching the drawing, in case I'm off just a little bit. And I'm kind of just eyeballing the center, so I probably should measure or something, but that's how I am. I think that kind of looks the same. I'm going to go ahead and drill those other last two holes. Let's see, we can remove the tape. It's always fun to remove tape and masking when you're doing projects. See what things look like again. Okay, a little bit of cleanup with the file and cut this to length, and I think it's gonna look pretty nice. Okay, let's assemble a couple things here just to see what they look like. That looks about the right shape. See how it fits the drawing template here. I think that's a good one. I'm just thinking, just in case I wanted to put another bolt in above the pulley to keep the winch line captive, I think I'm going to cut these a little longer than I was before. You know, I can always trim them again later if I wanted to. So I'm going to cut this off. Rather than bore you with another cutting, I may not include all this cutting. Now I'm going to cut the rails, and I'm thinking, because I don't really know what the exact bumper design is going to be at, I'm going to go about 1/4 inch long than the design shows for that. So I went ahead and cut this rail board here. It's probably about 1/4 inch longer than the drawing shows, and it's where it's going to go here. It's going to go right here on the side rail here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's going to catch right here. It's going to kind of pivot up, and then it's going to kind of come down, and it's going to kind of rest against that screw like that. So I'm going to clean that up a little, make it with the better shape, and then figure out where this pivot hole needs to go. Trying to figure out how I can mark that piece right there, and I'm thinking I can pivot that controller up out of the way. I can poke something in from the back. Oh yeah, that's going to work out great. And I can just put that in there. Maybe clamp it in place and poke a hole in from the back. You know, every once in a while when I'm at like garage sales, and I picked up this little C-clamp thing here that's kind of cool. This is the first time I've actually used it. So now we got that hooked up over that screw on the front, and then on the back side here we got it parallel with the frame rail, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the little marker and just mark a little hole, a little mark through that little hole. I'm not sure if this Sharpie is sharp enough to get all the way through that mark. I might have to get a fine-tipped Sharpie. Yep, I can see the hole right in there. Now, although it's probably at the wrong angle. Let me see if I can poke it in here again. Yeah, I like that. Okay, that's where we drill the hole. Okay, I got the front frame piece here drilled, and you can see kind of how it'll pivot right like that. Come up there. You got the mount here for the cab that will hook into the cross brace. And it looks like, and we got the front A-frame piece that will bolt onto about right there. So I think I'll drill another hole in the rail and bolt that on there. Okay, there it is with the A-frame part bolted on there. I think the cab is just on there loose there, so it doesn't quite fit right, but now all I got to do is build another rail for the other side, and we can kind of put it together. Here's probably as much as I'm going to get done tonight. I got the two frame rails, one on each side. I got showing kind of where the fake winch is going to be. You know, you can get, so you got the cable here now. It's going to come underneath there. It looks like it's part of the winch. We got the A-frame up on top. What I haven't done yet is the angle bracing coming up here, and then the bumper across the front. There it is with the cab on it. See kind of what it looks like. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how far we got done today. I just not realized, but working on these really small pieces sometimes is just as much work as working on something big, especially something this small. I'm pretty happy with how it went.
I just wanted to tell you thank you again for watching my videos. I plan to make more RC truck, house moving related videos like you've been seeing, and I just wanted to say I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.